Hello, good evening, and welcome to my live stream on YouTube for Sona Comstar, which is a Blackstone back company which sells auto parts, and it's now coming up with an IPO on Monday at the price of 285 to 291. So today I'm going to go into some of the pointers that I feel are positive, some of the pointers that are negative. So I'm going to do a quick analysis and a disclaimer. This is just my these are just my thoughts. This is not a recommendation to buy and sell. This is just to give some idea as to how I look at IPOs, and this is mainly for educational purpose, not as an investment or application recommendation. Okay, so if you're applying for this IPO, it is completely on your own. Please take advice of some SEBI researched advisor, or SEBI registered advisor, or make sure that you do your own analysis before investing in this particular company. Okay, so let's look at a couple of basic points over here. So what does Sona BLW Precision Forgings Limited do? Okay, it is a company which has got automotive components as their main product. Okay, and they make assemblies, gears, conventional and micro hybrid starter motor. So very important components of an automobile: the mobile, the motor, the gears, and assemblies. Okay, and as per CRISIL report, they are among the top 10 auto component manufacturers. Okay, it's not clear over here it's in India or not, but they are also one of the largest suppliers of differential gear segment. Okay, so that is one thing that they have a big market share in, according to their DRHP as well. Okay, and let's just quickly look at their history a little bit. I have links over here that I'll share now. On this particular website, they have given a little bit of backdrop. So this firm started back in 1995 as Sona Okawa Precision Forging, and it was a joint venture between Sona Group and Mitsubishi Material. By the way, Mitsubishi is a big company from Japan. Of course, they are well known over the world. And then they acquired ThyssenKrupp's forging business, which was the inventor of hot forging, according to this article. And then Blackstone. Okay, Blackstone is a big private equity firm. I'll come to that in a bit. They acquired the Comstar Automotive Technologies Limited. Okay, and they also acquired stake in Sanjay BLW. Okay, with Sanjay Kapoor, and then the entire entity became Sona Comstar. Okay, now they have 9 manufacturing facilities in India, China, Mexico, and United States. 6 are located in India out of them, and their clients range from Ampere, which is an electric vehicle maker, Ashok, Daimler, Jaguar, Mahindra Electric. Mahindra and Mahindra is one of their clients. Revolt is another electric car maker. Volvo, Eicher, and Volvo Cars. So again, a very prominent list of clients that they supply to, and currently they are also big into electric vehicle components. So that is going to be one of the next phases of automobile. We all know market is quite bullish on electric vehicles. So their 15% business currently comes from electric vehicle components, and they are playing big on it. Okay, of course, currently major portion of their money is coming from non-electric. That means components which do not care what is the source. It could be electric source, or it could be your petrol or diesel engine. They make components such that the car, the components are irrespective of the energy source. Okay, so now let's just look at the overall industry competition. Okay, if I see attachment over here, okay, industry competition is very high. In the same article, if you go down, uh, they have got some of the biggest competitors like Bosch, okay, Mitsubishi Electric Corporation, Valeo, Denso Corporation, which is, again, these are major players across the globe. So they have heavy competition, no doubt about it. And uh, of course, one big risk factor that they have is that their entire business depends on the entire auto industry. Okay, and currently we are big on EV. So that is also that if electric vehicles do not come into picture that soon, then we might see some difficulties in the stocks growth. Okay, so again, very heavily dependent on auto industry because, well, it makes auto components, so that's very obvious. So that is one big risk, the entire auto industry, and of course it has got strong competition from some really big players in the market as well. That is the overall industry competition size. If we look at the overall opportunity size. Now let's see what is the opportunity that they are facing right now. Overall electric vehicle market, which is going to be the next phase of automobile, is growing at an explosive pace. It's in India, electric vehicle market valued at 5 billion in 2020, and it is expected to touch 47 billion by 2026. So almost 44% growth rate is expected for this market to grow just in India. Okay, and we have the entire global industry is also going at a much greater, like a very nice speed, because of course globe is not going to be as fast as India. India is just still a nascent market for electric vehicles, but world over it is also growing at almost 26.8%. Is expected to grow at 26.8%. So again, a huge opportunity for us to look at for the company as well. Okay, so definitely a lot of market over there. Now, if we look at the market share of this particular company in within that space for auto component, uh, as mentioned, I've mentioned about the facilities across the globe. So a major portion of the revenue comes from USA. I would say about 40%, and then there's about 30% or something coming from India as well. So the major money is coming from India and US. Some of it is coming from Europe and very little from China. So these are it's basically covering all the big markets around the world. So that is a good thing. And in India, in about the differential gear segments for passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles and original equipment, it has got a market share of 55 to 60, 80 to 90, and 75 to 85% respectively. So which is huge. Okay, and that is always a good sign when a company has got a large market share, when it's a market leader in a particular component or in a particular product. It is always a positive sign. Okay, and another good thing about this company is that we are not dependent on a single product, vehicle segment, customer, or geographies. They have customers in all areas of the world, but they are also into different type of vehicle segments that they're supplying to tractors, commercial vehicles, two-wheelers as well, and regular passenger cars as well. So that's a good thing, that creates a little bit of a safety belt from them, of not being dependent on a specific type of vehicle segment. Okay, so this is a screenshot from their RHP that I have cut out. I encourage you guys to go and read it. It is available if you just Google it. Okay, now coming to some of the trends in favor. Okay, so when we are looking at a stock's growth, we look at current trends that can help. One, which I've already mentioned, electric vehicles are going to be the next phase. People are switching to electric vehicles. It's not going to be that fast, but yes, in future, sometime we are going to have all vehicles turning into electric vehicles. I would say 99% it is going to happen. And currently the trend is that whoever is using electric car, is it has got a cool factor to it. So that can be helpful, because this company is making components for the electric vehicle segment. So it's going to be a very good trend for them. Okay, so Tesla currently is exactly what BMW was years ago. So if you have a Tesla today, you're considered cool, and that is an American market, and they serve that market already. Okay, hopefully that will get translated to India as well. At the same time, government is also trying to give a big push, which is FAME, that is which stands for basically converting as many vehicles into electric vehicles. Okay, so if I just give you the full form of FAME electric vehicle. Okay, over here. It basically is government's initiative to push as many as possible the commercial vehicles or the buses and three-wheelers uh, into electric version, so that we have better, of course, environment, carbon emission is reduced in our country, and so on and so forth. So this was an initiative. You can check out the government's website to what they are doing, and they are now in phase two. Phase one had some less amount of investment. Phase two has got almost 10,000 crore investment outlay from the government itself, where they'll be converting a lot of e-buses, e-three-wheelers, and e-four-wheeler passengers cars. Okay, so this is going to be government's mission, and that is going to be beneficial to this company as well, again, for the EV push. Otherwise, just like the auto industry, because it has got other components as well, non-electric components as well, the company is going to do well as long as the auto industry has got demand and it continues to have the clients that it has today. Maybe it can increase its clients as well. Okay, so that's the overall positive. Then the PLI scheme by the government is also something that can be added. I'll probably make a separate video about PLI scheme, but government is trying to push manufacturing within our own country so that can be exported outside. So what happened to tech back in the day? Today we can expect the same thing happening in manufacturing field. So after IT, now government is focusing on the manufacturing segment, and again, this company stands to benefit from it most likely. So apart from that, there's interesting part is that it has been held by a company called as Blackstone, which is a private equity firm. Private equity firms are nothing but players which invest in a company before they go public. Okay, this is not before IPO. IPO is public equity. Private equity is big investors coming in and taking ownership stake in a company at a earlier stage. And exit means that in IPO, what they are doing right now is they are exiting from this company. So if we look at the news clearly, 5,500 crore IPO size is their total. Okay. And out of which 300 crore is fresh issue. That means this money is going to go to the company and they're going to use it to repay some of the debt. And rest 5,200 crore is to be taken by Singapore 7 Topco 3 Private Limited, which is an arm of Blackstone. Now, what is Blackstone? You might wonder. Blackstone is one of the largest, I would say, in one of the top 10 private equity firms in the world, according to the 2017 list here in Wikipedia. Blackstone Group was number 1. Okay, and if you look at their total asset size, they go as huge as 619 billion US dollars, and they have it's a huge firm. And this is what I call smart money. So their business, one of the business arm does this of private equity, where they find companies that at an earlier stage, put money in it, and they make huge profits during the IPOs. So they're doing a partial exit. It's not 100% exit. So that's a good sign. Some of the stake will still remain with Blackstone, but major chunk is coming out and they're making money from it. The company is not taking much of the money for their business workings. They're quite self-sufficient that way. So that, in a way, from my perspective, is a positive sign that the company is, not raising money from this. This is just giving exit to the previous owner. And private equity owners are anyway, they are just investors. They're not going to be actively involved in that business. So for them, this is an exit route, and they're doing their work in a way. So it is a neutral. I would say it is a neutral event, but it was backed by a good company. So basically, if we think that Blackstone is smart money, so they had invested in this company, so that could give us one positive sign that yes, some big money was behind this firm, so they must have thought and analyzed something. And yes, India is a big market, no doubt about it. So I'm quite positive on this fact that that Blackstone Group owned this stock. Now, of course, Blackstone is betting big on India. Okay, it has invested more than 22 billion in the country, so they are quite positive. I hope you are all also very positive on India. Okay, so money from all over the world is coming in into Indian markets. So we as Indians should also focus on our own markets as well to make some really interesting investment choice. Okay, now if you look at the ratios, I'm going to go to this link again. Okay, here on this website, they have given some nice analysis. So mainly, I've made some notes as well. On the ROE side, they are at 35%, ROC is 32%, which is a pretty nice number. 18 to 22% plus is always looked at as a good number for ROE. And according to their annual report, their red herring prospectus, they have the highest margins in the industry, which is around 29%. And auto component, this is actually a huge number. So that's a positive sign. Also, the money that is coming in, they're going to clear off the debt. So that debt, when it's cleared off, will also improve margins slightly because they won't have any interest to pay on it. If you look at the overall earnings from 2018. Okay, so assets have increased steadily from about 1400 crore to 2112 crore, despite of the last year's pandemic situation. You need to realize these numbers are only for 9 months. So I'm guessing if at all that was not the case, we can see some better number. I'm sure it can go up to 2200 or 2400 as well. So that's actually a very good growth over few years as far as assets are concerned. Revenue has also increased overall. Again, over here, March 20, 1043 crore was there. 1 year revenue. Here 1029 is just 9 months revenue. So clearly we can expect the revenue to grow if at all everything remains same. Of course, you need to be always careful about that. So the same situation over here. Profit after tax has reduced, but this is a 9 month target. Plus, this was the year in which we had COVID pandemic situation at the highest level. Okay, so everything was shut down. So we can probably take this as a levy. I don't think this is a complete 100% negative. In fact, the fact that they've done some business in spite of such difficult conditions is a positive in my eye. Okay, and now basic and diluted EPS is given. I'm just going to take the basic EPS. That is what I always do. And weighted average is coming out to almost 5.65. Okay, so from 2 rupees in 2018 to 0.33, then 5.20 in 2019, and 2020 7.06. So we can consider the EPS somewhere between 5 to 7. Okay, so as an average, 5.65 seems like a fair EPS calculation for this particular company. And now let's do evaluation of the company. Okay, before I go into valuations, let's just quickly look at the pricing. So pricing is 285 to 295, 1 per share. Market lot is 51 shares, and it is going to open on 14th of June, and it will be closed on June 16th. Okay, and listing is directly expected on the 24th of June. So in about 10 working days time, you will know how what is going to happen on the day one of listing. After I think 10:30 a.m. in the morning, you would be able to sell the shares if you've gotten the allotment. Okay, so let's do quick valuation of this particular company. Now, again, I am using very rough matrix. I am using a broad stroke of things to calculate these numbers. Okay, I don't expect them to be correct. Nobody can be actually 100% correct on valuation, because valuation is not an exact science. How the market is going to react to this company, nobody can predict. But what we can do is we can get a slight gauge. Okay, we can understand a little bit of range in which we can expect the IPO to be based on comparing it to the company PE and company EPS, and based on the kind of growth rate we can expect. So ultimately, the basic idea is simple. Market values a company based on its future earning. So PE ratio multiplied by EPS becomes our obvious way of calculating the price of a particular company, expected price or market fair price in the market, and we compare it to other players in the industry or average industry PE. If you guys do not understand these ratios, I would highly encourage you to take a course on fundamental analysis and get your basic ratio analysis and valuation right, so that you guys can also do it yourself. Okay. But again, do not take this as an exact science, and I'm not recommending this IPO. This is just a broad idea and how to gauge what kind of listing can be expected for this particular stock, or what kind of targets can be set for this particular stock. Okay, so now from this particular article, we have extrapolated that the EPS is 5.65. Okay, and PE for this particular company, that is price to earning, would be, of course, whatever market price is given, which is 291. I'm taking the upper limit, 291. So if you divide the, hold on, if you divide the price from the EPS, we will get our price to earning ratio that the company is asking right now. Okay, so it is, PE is 51. I'll just write 51 over here. Approximately 51 PE is expected by the company. Now, if I look at the industry now, all the competitors and some closer relatives of this particular company, okay, they are not exact competitors, but They are in the same industry. So I've listed the most likely names around, even Bharat Forge, because they're into forgings and other auto component makers. So they have a broad range of price to earning ratios because all businesses are different. Okay. So what I've done is I've taken an average of them over here, and it's coming out to almost 125. Okay. And 125 can be considered as industry average. I've not considered Varroc Engineering because its IPO was coming very vague. Sorry, its PE was coming very vague. And if you look at overall range, starting from about 20, that is the lowest PE that is there in the industry, and the highest one is 456 at Bharat Forge. So 125 becomes a comfortable PE ratio on an average. Okay. Now, we already know that this company has got better margins than the industry. So yes, definitely we can expect it to have a little higher valuation in the market, but that again is a speculation. There's no hard and fast rule. So I'm going to try to keep it more conservative for me. Okay. So conservatively, if I consider to Motherson Sumi directly, a P ratio of 73 or 75 could be a comfortable number as well. So we'll try to do the valuations based on these two numbers. Okay, 70 and 125. Okay, so now if the EPS is 565 in 2021, next year, because market values the company for the next year, uh, we can expect its EPS to grow at 7. Okay, just taking a rough number that from this year's EPS they're growing more business because market reopens, and the market still has the same P of 51 which they are asking right now. Okay, in that case, if you calculate 7, so I'm going to multiply the EPS with the PE. So 357 becomes its comfortable uh, target for 1 year based earning. Like if next year they make slightly better earnings and they're able to make more money, this is the pricing that market can give to them. Okay. Now, if it is valued with 70, which is in the range of Motherson Sumi, then our target becomes slightly higher, 490. Okay. Now, again, 70 is a higher P than what they're expecting. If let's say their earnings are muted and they don't make they make exactly the same amount of money next year, but their valuation in the market is higher because there's hype on, there is hype for electric vehicles. So 395 comes their comfortable target. So this is where I'm thinking the range is 350 to almost, if I think 490. So 350 to 490 becomes our basic range around which within 1 year, sorry, my bad. Yeah. Okay. Within 1 year, the company should come to this range on an average, where we are just considering very, I would say, conservative numbers for the company. Either the EPS will increase or the market will valuate it at a higher price. So somewhere this becomes their listing target. Okay. Somewhere in this range, if it lists, I won't be surprised. Now, if you were to go more conservative and we just take 2.71, and then yes, on based on that, which I think it's on a lower end, 2.71. Okay, the IPO becomes very, very expensive, but I think that is not going to be the case in the future, because this is considering the 9 months EPS. This is not going to be the 12-month EPS. That's why it's coming lower. So overall, I think 350 to 490 should be the range in which the IPO might get listed. Now, if we are thinking super positively, okay, and company's EPS grows next year and industry values it at 125, okay, then we have somewhere at the range of 875 as its target. Okay, and that is again at the higher range. And if it gets evaluated at 199 or 450, then again the targets become higher. But I would say within the next 2 years, or the maximum target for this company on the upside can be 875, out of which I feel this company would be overvalued based on 1 to 2 3 years perspective. So I would give this as 1 to 3 years range, and this could be its listing target. Okay, listing target. Again, I'm not recommending this IPO. This is just my rough calculation, the range within which we can expect the IPO to get listed. I'm not saying that it will get listed, because it depends on so many things. The market has to be right. Currently, there is a bull trend, but what if on the same day the market is not bullish, then you might not see these kind of prices coming for this particular company. Okay, so I hope this particular analysis was helpful to some of you. Please do your own analysis, do your homework, and then apply. And if you want to learn how to analyze and learn so many things about company before investing, then definitely get in touch with me for my courses on fundamental investing. Okay, thank you so much. And if you have any questions or if you think I've missed something, do let me know in the comments below. I'll make a follow-up video and probably answer those questions and probably fill in the gap. Okay, and this by means, of course, no means was a complete analysis. There is a lot that you can study on this particular company. So I encourage you to do that. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.